Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to Trailblazers Podcast, where we get the special privilege of hosting Kristen Rising, founder of Rising Construction Service. Kristen, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course. For those of us who don't know, could you tell us a little about yourself, and could you share a bit about your personal journey and what ultimately led you to creating your company?
Yes, my name is Kristen Rising. I am 100% owner of Rising Construction Services. We are a union subcontractor that supplies traffic, restoration, and erosion services. I started the business in November of 2018. I was in a completely different industry for about 20 years, and I got fired. So I knew I had to shift and get into an industry that would allow me to grow. And so construction seemed like a good fit. And I just kind of jumped off the high dive and started, and we'll be turning 7 years old this coming up November.
Wow. Okay. Well, so with 7 years old and offering that range of services, could you maybe elaborate on how these services complement each other and what makes your approach unique in the market?
Absolutely. I wanted to focus on making myself kind of like a turnkey service. So instead of a big general contractor or prime having to find 5 different subs to do work that they need, that they were able to kind of get that turnkey service with me. Traffic is kind of related to the erosion and restoration. So if vehicles have to be on the road to provide those services, then I can close the road or put up the signs or draw the traffic control plan map or pull the permits through the different municipalities for those services. So they kind of work very well hand in hand.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. What did you say is the focus that takes the most time of those three between traffic, erosion, and restoration?
Traffic is probably about, I would say, 75% of the business, and the other 25% is the erosion and restoration services.
Okay. Yeah. And what would you say, probably having to run this company, would be your biggest challenge you face on a week-to-week basis in running your business?
Oh, it's everything. It just doesn't stop when you're a business owner. A lot of times you think, oh, like what we were talking about earlier, like we couldn't wait till it was Friday to have the weekend. So that's great realistically, but at the same time, I'm still having to answer phone calls and deal with stuff over the weekend. So you don't ever really get that pause, but it is incredibly rewarding. I wouldn't want to be doing anything else.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And you mentioned that you have a team of about 40. And how is your company structured? Like, who is on your team is responsible for the day-to-day operations and project management?
I have, yes, about 40 employees. We have 6 in the office. The rest are field employees. So currently we have 2 PMs, and then the rest are the office personnel inside that kind of helps navigate between the 2 scopes and then kind of delve out the duties that are inside on the back end, doing all that paperwork that everybody loves.
Absolutely. Paperwork is always fun. Tell us, when you look back at a completed project that you did, what would you say are some key metrics that you use to define success beyond just profitability?
It's my level of service. That's one thing I really pride myself on, is making sure that I can give those general contractors the service that they deserve. Because if they hire me as a subcontractor and I don't show up late or I don't perform my duties and tasks appropriately, well, then that puts them behind on their schedule. And that's something that I really just want to pride myself on, of getting in there and being a team member to that general contractor to make sure that that project is a success.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And you mentioned working with these major general contractors. Could you walk us through and describe what your ideal client or perfect project would look like?
My ideal client is like Kissick Construction. They are wonderful, a wonderful organization. When I first started the business, they really held my hand and kind of showed me the way of how things needed to be done, and was just a vast resource for me. Anything that I needed to know, they were really there to help me. So those are the kind of companies that I like to work with. That just really, are open and honest with you, kind of show you what is expected. And then that way, if you have any questions, they're there to be able to help you and guide you through it.
Mm-hmm. And do you still currently work with them Are they kind of someone who still
Yes.
uses you? Okay.
Yes.
And I guess continuing in that, as you're looking in the construction industry today, what would you have to say are some key challenges or opportunities you've observed, especially concerning client acquisition and operational efficiency?
Two challenges I face all the time is financial, money, capital, and employees. It's very hard to find employees that want to work. And it's also very hard to manage your finances being a small business when you are relying on, those municipalities to pay those GCs in a timely manner for those GCs to be able to pay you. So it's kind of like this, tango dance that we do.
Uh-huh. And how do you currently find your employees? Or like which ways are you currently doing that?
I'm a union subcontractor, so sometimes I'm able to call the union hall and they're able to provide employees. Other avenues is that if somebody knows somebody that's wanting to get into the union is an excellent way to have that livable wage and provide you benefits and pension. So I'm a huge fan of being union just because it does allow that paycheck for people to survive off of.
Yeah, so maybe taking a few steps back, did you initially start union with your company? And maybe going on that, how do you see the benefits of continuing that in your company?
Yes, I started out union, and yes, I want to continue on that pathway. Just because, like I said, we're able to have our employees train through the union. So any class that I need to put on, I just reach out to my union training facility. They put those classes on to make sure all the people that I have employed are certified and up to date on all scopes that we are providing.
Could you describe what kind of classes and what kind of training are you giving to your employees?
Okay, so I'll give an example. When I started the business in 2018, I was solely traffic. And then in 2020, I introduced my erosion side. Well, I went to the union and asked them to help us get trained on installing silt fence, installing straw wattles. So we were there for an 8-hour class, hands on, showing how to dig the trenches, how to lay the fence, how to secure the posts. And so that is very beneficial, especially when you have never done that kind of scope of work before.
Mm-hmm. And was this quite a major change in your company, or were those trainings and everything you did to get that, did that really set you guys up well for
It
success?
it was a great stepping stone, but like anything you do, until you do it repeatedly several times, you're really not going to truly understand and know what's entailed, especially if you're on flat ground or if you're on slight hill. Those are things you just kind of learn as you go and kind of adapt with the change.
Mm-hmm. And typically with these erosion plans that you're doing, are you seeing that you have to fix a lot of the engineer's plans, like if they're not designing the engineer, or do you have a lot of flexibility in creating your own erosion plan?
No, I have to follow the guidelines. So whatever that they say, how that they need it done based on their plans and their permits, or depending on that municipality, I just have to follow suit and do as needed. It's basically just to restore any area that was disturbed, doing what they needed to do to make it look nice for that customer once everybody's finished.
Okay, absolutely. I guess going on, could you maybe tell us a little more about the restoration and how that is going and growing in your company?
Yeah, restoration is basically I'm following behind utility contractors. And in any area that they disrupt, I'm able to come in and repair those. So let's say that they had to dig in a street. I can come in and patch the concrete. If it was asphalt, I can patch the asphalt. If they damaged a curb, I can come in and repair that curb or sidewalk. If it was in a residential yard, then we can lay sod or do hydro seeding based on what that city specs are required.
Okay, yeah. And where do you maybe see the most common restoration projects? Is it a broken curb, or is it like you said, the sod torn up? Like where do you see that the
It's
most?
typically in the yard. It's typically sod or hydro seeding. That's where most of the lines are when digging up if they needed to repair, a light pole or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, absolutely. And then jumping forward a little and looking ahead, what's maybe your next major milestone you're aiming for in your company?
I'd eventually like to get to where I could possibly be a GC or a prime, to where then I can search for those subcontractors and kind of, be able to take on a little bit bigger size projects is what I would like to eventually happen. Maybe when I turn 10 years old or 15 years old, you never know. Depends on how the industry is going.
Yeah, maybe what are some like stepping stones to get there? Like what needs to happen from now to get to where you want to be?
I would definitely need to take some more classes. I would need to get my general contractor's license. I would have to have a lot more training just to understand what it means to be that GC before I would feel comfortable taking on such a huge task.
And you want to do that internally. You want to be the one taking classes. You're not actively seeking to hire someone who could fill that role. Are you the one who would like to do that? If I'm understanding
I
that.
would need to do that as the owner, just so I myself can be educated. And then once I'm educated, then that would help me find other people to handle different tasks within my organization.
No, certainly. Yeah, and maybe taking a step back, what would be the time frame on that? I mean, would it be the 10-year mark, or what are the time frame for those classes and getting educated on becoming a GC?
It would probably be more around me turning 10 to 15 years old. I'm still, I feel like a young pup in this game. Um,
Yeah.
Still learning the ropes of how to be a really good and successful subcontractor.
Hmm.
So that would be definitely further down the road.
Yeah, and well, seeing the success you've already had, like how do you currently get clients, and like how does that work?
It's typically just getting out and networking, finding out what projects are coming down the pipeline, and then introducing yourself with different organizations that maybe you're not familiar with, just to see, if they are able to land that project, then I have been in front of them, kind of like, hey, look at me. These is the scopes of work that I can provide. Please let me know if I'm, can fit in on this new project of yours.
Yeah, and how do you currently network to get those
Um,
connections?
I'm involved with several organizations here in the Kansas City, Missouri area, and just networking within that, various chambers. I'm part of NUCA KC. I'm part of Comto KC, the builders, NAWIC, NABO, like anything that's out there in the Kansas City area that, engulfs the construction industry. I'm definitely a part of to meet those people and make those connections.
Yeah, absolutely. And would you say that takes a great deal of your time, like having to go to these meetings and network and talk to people? Would you say
A
that?
100%, a
Uh huh.
100%. Anytime I'm away from my computer, really kind of puts me behind on my workload. But it's a give and take relationship. You have to still be able to get out there and introduce yourself and meet people and learn about new projects that are coming down the pipeline in order to set you up successfully to be able to bid on those.
No, certainly. Networking and in this industry is crucial. So as as like you continue trying to grow and do all that, how do you see technology playing in your current daily operations? And then how do you see it playing more in the future to allow you to be more successful?
Well, especially like AI right now. I am really trying to learn how to use that tool to streamline the services inside for all the paperwork. So, any business plans or anything that needs to be put together like that, AI has been a great tool just to kind of get you that starting template to then see exactly how to move forward. But that's how I envision technology. It's just to help streamline our processes and make us more efficient.
And yeah, maybe walking back, how are you currently using it right now in your company?
Oh, I use AI for everything. So I can print out financials and add that and kind of, ask AI to give me an overview of my company. What how am I standing financially? What's my overview? Can you graph it? Can you put it in an Excel spreadsheet? So, I'm a visual learner. So anything that has like colors and lines, I understand that a lot better. So that's been a great tool.
Are you seeing your team as well use it for efficiency and writing maybe some like reports and stuff along those lines?
I've introduced it to them, and so I'm having them kind of get a little bit more familiar with it and see how it could also help them on their day-to-day tasks.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. And would you say it's going to play a critical part in growing and getting to that goal that you have?
Absolutely. Because, before when you have to sit and think of something, it might take you several hours to come up with a report to format it in the words. And using AI, it'll spit it out in like 10 minutes. And so it just saved you a huge amount of time that you can focus on another area.
Absolutely. And like just kind of a mundane question, but time in your industry is very valuable, would you say?
Yes, especially as an owner, because we can work 10 to 12 hours a day and still feel like that we haven't gotten everything done that we needed to get done for that day. So any time that we could shave off of that is very helpful.
No, absolutely. Now, Kristen, as we start to finish up our podcast, is there anything you'd like to say to the audience that we may have missed, along with any other exciting news you'd like to share?
Just that I am overjoyed, I guess. I didn't really know what I was getting into when I joined the construction industry, but it is a wonderful industry. And so many people are very supportive and just really help you as you grow as a small business. Any kind of resource or information you need, a lot of people are very welcoming to be able to help guide me through that. So I am very appreciative of that.
Yes, absolutely. And maybe where can people find your work and stay updated on your company's projects in progress?
Gosh, we have our website that you can go to. It's risingcsinc.com. And with the traffic control, I have over 200 setups throughout the municipality area. We do work in Missouri and Kansas. So if you're driving down the road and my company color is purple, so if you see any spray paint on signs or anything like that, then you can always snap a picture if it's safe. Don't do it while you're driving. And just kind of share it just to show that we are out there and we are trying to do the very best that we can.
Absolutely. You're keeping everyone safe, right?
That's what we're trying to do.
Yep. Well, I'll be sure to include your company's page in the subscripts. But with that, everyone, thank you for tuning in. And thank you, Kristen, for coming on the show.
Thank you. Much appreciated.